there is an enormous difference between a conscious ego and an unconscious automatic ego. And what needs to be surrendered is the unconscious automatic ego. Surrendering is giving up anything that excludes you from being present to the mystery of life and to gratefulness. And that is what surrendering is. And of course, the main barrier to the experience of grace and gratefulness and to the mystery of life is the ego. All right, so let's first look at what is ego. And ego is really everything you identify with that is not you. For example, you would identify with your job title, with your job, with the amount of money you have, with your weight, with your age. Any identification other than yourself, that's the ego. So let's look at the source of the ego. This life can be seen as a game, right? As a thrilling game. So it seems that the rules of the game we are in right now is that it's got to be totally unpredictable. We have no control. We have total uncertainty. And to really have the thrill of no control, total uncertainty, we forget who we really are at a very young age. And long ago, right, we had to survive the elements, the weather, the animals. We had to go for food. We had to literally survive physically. So to survive physically, we needed to find some ways of being that will have us stay alive. And we avoided what would kill us. The problem is that for most of us, we do not need to fight for our survival anymore. But we don't know that. Like, it is as if we didn't inform our brain. We still use the same mechanism to avoid danger, run away from danger, or freeze in total shock that we used to use when it was a question of physical survival. Most of us do not have to deal with physical survival right now. But what we survive now, we survive each other. How to avoid danger. Some of you are very scared to speak in public. That tells you the fear you have of other people. What am I surviving? How do I protect myself? Against what? I also want to say that I think it is necessary to have an ego to go through this life. This life is not easy. It is not an easy game. The thrilling game of total lack of control, total uncertainty, and forgetting who we are is not an easy game. You do need an ego, except if you want to be a monk or meditate non-stop, go to an ashram or a temple and just be in silence and meditate, then maybe you don't need an ego, right? But if you want to operate in the world, you do need an ego. And what needs to be surrendered is the unconscious automatic ego. So we're going to talk about that ego. Here's the good news, everybody. We are not born with an ego. Now, why is that the good news? Because if you're not born with an ego, that means that you created your ego. And if you created your ego, you can do something about it. You just need to bring awareness to what you created and then choose to keep what works for you and discard what doesn't work for you, and this time create a conscious, mature ego, or also called an archetype or a character that will serve you in life instead of being in a reaction to what you created in the past unconsciously. So when I talk about unconsciousness, I'm not talking about it in the psychological sense. Unconsciousness is being consciousness without being aware. It's like being a sleepwalker. You know, when you sleepwalk, you can actually even cook and open doors and walk, but you're not aware. That is what the kind of unconsciousness I'm talking about. So to look and start to get what your ego is, right? I want you to look at your life as if it was a play. Your whole life, whatever age you are right now, look as far back as you can remember and look at your life as if it was a theater play or a film or a novel, whatever speaks better for you, right? So the first thing you need to get present to is that you have a genre. I think in English you say you have a genre. So I, for example, had a Greek tragedy. That was my genre. But you can have a romantic comedy, a romance novel, you can have a thriller, you can have a reality show, a musical comedy, a children's story, a fairy tale, a science fiction movie. Just look. What genre, if your life was a play, would your life be? Now, what do you need for a play? You need a main character. Yep, that is you, the main character. What are your main quality? There is a word that will capture the main character in your story. So for me, it was Superwoman. So I was strong and I rescued people and I was a helicopter pilot and I crossed the South Pacific and I'm a horse rider champion and I'm led seminars for 80,000 people and I took care of my family and I took care of people. I mean, you know, that was the main character, this kind of woman that was a bit away from everybody. You know, Superwoman is on a roof alone. So can't say I was very social or I had a lot of friends around or whatever. I was a loner. Superwoman, always to the rescue, and I always found myself in the places where Superwoman was useful. There is two sides. There is a side that has you win at surviving, right? Why does it has you win at surviving and not at being alive? Because you have only one role. And the infinite different ways of being you could be are not available to you. You're stuck in one role. And you say things like, oh, well, that's just how I am. I must be born like that. I take after my grandfather. It must be genetic. No, nobody found a gene that says this one is agreeable or this one is a Superwoman. That is not true. And you developed a muscle so that you could create that main character that will have you survive. Okay, so that main character goes on and on and on and on until you distinguish your ego. Now you need supporting cast. So you need a relationship between the main character and the supporting cast. So the supporting cast, everybody, you can fire at will. Look at your life. Who are you not talking to anymore? Who did you get out of your life? What new people? You know, the supporting cast. But you have a very specific way as a main character to relate to the supporting cast. Well, now we need a script. The main character always reacts to the circumstances of life in a certain way. Underneath those three mechanisms, the main character, the relationship to the supporting cast, and the relationship to life, which is a script, there is a world of pain and hurt and decisions and doubt and self-hate. And that is what has you, that is the bottom of the iceberg. the character, the way the character relates to the supporting cast, and the way you relate to the circumstances of life is only the tip of the iceberg. And if you do the work of the deconstruction of the ego, you will get to the source of it all, and you will be able to see that you are fully the originator of it. We have the genre, we have the main character, we have the supporting cast, we have the script. What do you need to give the play? You need a theater. You also created the theater inside of which your play is going to be given. That theater could be called your view of life. You see, we do not see life through as it is. We see life through a view of life. Let me explain to you by giving you an example, right? Imagine right now, somebody knocks on your door and says, you have one week in the most beautiful Caribbean island. You're going by private jet. You're going to be in the private mansion with the person you love the most in the world. It's all paid for. Enjoy. All right. All right. And that is in 1 week. Well, your view of life is in 1 week, I'm in heaven, all paid for. All right. That week before you go, you didn't plan to go. You have so much to organize. Your children, blah, blah, blah. Never mind. Whatever you have to do during that week, because you're looking at in 1 week I'm in heaven, you are going to be so effective. If you don't sleep for a week, it doesn't matter. And you are happy and excited and active and effective. And yeah, in 1 week I'm in the Caribbean. All right. So you go to the Caribbean. It's even better than you thought it was. And you are with the love of your life, and you're having a Mai Tai, and oh, the water is blue, the sky is beautiful, the sand is white. I'm in heaven, right? Life is good. 5 days later, you're still in the same place. The sand is still white. The water is still turquoise. The sky is blue. Everything is so perfect, but you have a thought. The thought is, oh, in 2 days, I'm back to my life. And at that moment, your experience of being alive is not as enjoyable as when you were working like a maniac, getting organized to go to that dream place. So you are actually in the dream place, but your experience is lessened. By what? By your view. That view of life gives you your experience of being alive. The theater inside of which you give your play is your view of life. You have a very, very specific view of life. Do not tell me your life is marvelous, life is a delight. No, that's totally inauthentic, because if that was so, you would not need an ego to survive. See, the main character spends its time surviving itself, surviving the supporting cast, and surviving life. What is your view of life that will have you have to survive it? And that's where the unconsciousness I was talking about comes in. That is your ego. Your ego is the theater inside of which you give your play, the script, the supporting cast, and a main character. All of that is the ego, and that is what needs to be surrendered, meaning giving up, so that you can actually remember who you really are. So now, you connected to your soul essence, you get your ego totally, you can surrender your ego, and you now need to create a new character. And that new character, mature, conscious, created by someone that is aware and has done the necessary surrendering of the ego, that character is fully aligned with your soul and your soul intention in incarnating you. So your character is here to serve your soul intention. So here's the delight of doing that, everybody, that work, is that first you know what to surrender. You know, surrender is giving up the barrier to the expense of yourself. You know exactly what you need to give up. You give up everything that is not you. And when you know, and you've done a lot of work on everything that is not you, then you know what to give up. You're not unconscious anymore. You are aware, awake. You have awakened to the illusion of the unconscious ego. But you are unmessable with. Why? Because you experience your soul essence, your soul intention in incarnating you, and you have your mission. And you never have the doubts and the questions and the what should I do with my life, and am I doing well, and am I fulfilled, and the experience is one of peacefulness, groundedness, and the most certainty you can have in a game of uncertainty and lack of control. For me, this is why I do what I do, right? Because I get the privilege to witness the going home of my students. Suddenly, everything disappears, and all there is their essence, and it is truly like being present to the divine. Well, it is not. It is truly like, no, it is being present to the divine. It's the biggest privilege of my life, because you cannot get more intimate than that, right? Sharing the moment where you reconnect to who you really are. And my students are so moved, and there is so much silence and depth and beauty in the moment. I'm grateful for it. I have the best mission in the planet.